Jeff Flighty Jr. here with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. I'm here with my main man, Mr. Marcus Lamar. Marcus, how are you doing this morning, buddy?
Jeff, what's up, man? Talk to me. How's it going?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Pretty good. We've got a ton of things to cover, from Drake to Carri Richardson to LeBron James and Paul Pierce, and the beef that seems to linger forever. Let's start with that, though, Marcus. So Paul Pierce came out recently. He did an article with SI because as we know, Paul Pierce is getting inducted to the Hall of Fame, I want to say, this year, right?
Yep.
So Paul Pierce is getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. And of course, it wouldn't be a Paul Pierce interview if he didn't talk about LeBron James and his it's kind of untimely firing from ESPN. So during the interview with SI, Marcus, Paul Pierce stated, he got fired from ESPN after he was recording himself smoking a little weed, hanging out with some strippers, playing a little poker, having a good time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do that on your private time, but when you work for a company that's owned by Disney, it's kind of frowned upon, right? So what were your thoughts on Paul Pierce's comments on why he was ready to get the hell up out of ESPN anyway, and he didn't care about, the video that he took? He felt like he shouldn't have been fired.
So the fascinating thing about Paul Pierce is that when we hear him talk about LeBron or invoke LeBron James' name, we usually think there's some ulterior motive here. But this is one of the rare instances where I actually agree with his commentary. Now, let's get a couple of things straight. Before I get into my soliloquy, I just want to plug the article. I wrote an article yesterday about Paul Pierce and his comments on LeBron James and what it means as it pertains to, are there some kernels of truth to it? I cover the Lakers for a website called lakeshorelife.com. So if your audience can go over and check it out, it's up right now. You can type in Lakeshore Life, real Marcus Lamar on Google, and it'll pop up. So if you guys can go support that, that'd be greatly appreciated. Now, let me get back to Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce basically had an IDGAF, which is not safe for workplace mentality, on his way out of ESPN. And if you've ever had a job, we all know how that goes. We've been there before. Was it smart for him to post on social media his activities? No. And the issue is not that he was doing those activities. The issue is that he posted it publicly, and he was an employee for a company that doesn't want that stuff put in public blogospheres.
Absolutely.
So according to Paul Pierce, him and ESPN were on the outs on his way out. So basically, that video was the last straw. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Paul Pierce has since moved on, but I always appreciate when an athlete or anybody speaks candidly or honestly about a situation. And let's be fair, in Paul Pierce's defense, this is not the first time we've heard people say that ESPN is too LeBron-centric, or that the NBA, who was in bed with ESPN, rightfully so, is too centric on LeBron. Now, I understand why both organizations or companies would be. LeBron James in 2003 was dubbed the chosen one by himself, and he was dubbed the chosen one by the league to be the heir apparent after Michael Jordan. Now, yes, we had fillers like Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, Shaq, Kobe, and Allen Iverson. And that
fillers. These guys are just fillers.
They were fillers. They were fillers. And the reason I say they were fillers is because none of those players came into the league with the fanfare, with the hype, or with the expectations that LeBron James did. LeBron James, his high school classics were being covered by ESPN.
That's true.
They saw at an early age, okay, this guy has something that we're going to pour a lot of our resources, time, energy, and effort into. So I get it. I get why ESPN talks a lot about LeBron, but I can also understand why, if you are an employee there for that network, or if you are a consumer of that network's product, how it could be frustrating. LeBron fatigue is definitely a real thing, but my retort to anybody who has a problem with it is the NBA was the same way with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls in the 90s, which I talk about in my article, and the NFL was the same way with Tom Brady and the New England Patriots for 20 years. So that's how I feel about that situation with Paul Pierce. I agree with him, but I don't have a problem with what ESPN is doing.
Well, the thing is when you are a hot commodity, you got to talk about the hot commodity. I'm not just going to ignore greatness, right? So if there is one player that is as dominant, as transcendent, as, just whatever, you sway on one side or the other. We're going to focus on that commodity, and that's LeBron James, right? Yeah. So when Jordan in the NBA, it's centric around one player a lot of times anyway, right? So if it's not LeBron, it was Kobe. If it wasn't Kobe, it was Jordan. If it wasn't Jordan, it was Magic or Bird. You know what I mean? If it wasn't them, it was Wilt or Bill Russell or whoever. So like when it comes to media, you do focus in on one person, because in basketball, one person, one guy can be super transcendent. The thing about Jordan that's different than LeBron, and probably why LeBron, besides the fact that we live in a different time, right? Media, social media, all of that is totally different than when Jordan played. But the fact that everybody loved Michael Jordan. Maybe his opponents didn't love Michael Jordan, but the media and people in the media pretty much loved Michael Jordan. They didn't really, even when he did bad stuff like, go out and gamble, they didn't really rip him like that. Or go out and, had food poisoning, what some other people might say that was something else. They didn't really kill him like that, right? Like this man went gambling during the playoffs. Just imagine LeBron did that. The thing about LeBron, and the reason why people focus so much on him, is because they're on drastically different ends. You got the LeBron lover boys like Mr. Marcus Lamar here that love to talk about LBJ and his greatness and sing his praises, and then you got the LeBron just haters, just guys that just are infatuated, have built careers on hating LeBron, like Skip Bayless or whoever, that really get a lot of attention because there's people on that drastic end. Like he's so polarizing. Everybody's not on one end of the spectrum. They're either on one end of the spectrum. There's not a lot of people in the middle, and so that's why the NBA, ESPN, Fox Sports, or whoever puts a lot of their resources into that, because you get drastically different opinions. And I mean, it's not LeBron's fault. He's just being him. But because of being him, he does things that are totally different than in that space, like changing teams all the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like winning championships with different teams, still being great 20 years into your career. It's stuff we're not used to seeing, and that's why he's super polarizing, and that's why probably Paul Pierce hates it, because LeBron James ended Paul Pierce's career, right? Like that's why he hates him for real. Let's be honest. Let's keep it a buck. Paul Pierce thought he was going to be running the league for a good 5-year stretch, and that 5-year stretch turned into about a 3-year stretch, or maybe he thought it was about a 5 to 8 year stretch, and it really ended up only being 3 years, from 2008 to 2010, and then after that was LeBron's league. And that's why he hates LeBron, am I right?
I think with Paul Pierce, before we went on the show, for your audience out there listening, we were talking about ego, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you make it to any level in life, whether it's a professional athlete, an entertainer, a singer, a famous painter, a designer, there's ego behind you, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. Ego it's not for everybody. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but you have to have some type of ego or some type of confidence about yourself in order to even reach that level. Yeah. So I think with Paul Pierce, even though people might say, oh, he hates on LeBron or he hates LeBron, if you put Paul Pierce on a lie detector, there's no way he would say, I just don't respect LeBron James as a basketball player. I think there are a lot of people that get frustrated because they feel like LeBron James, whether it's right or wrong, gets a lot of attention, whether it's from the media. But again, I ask fans to ask yourself this: who in the NBA has demonstrated an ability to be equipped to handle the type of scrutiny thrown at them? We know Kevin Durant would go nuclear.
Absolutely not. KD was the best in the world for 2 years and couldn't handle it, right? Or 3 years, he couldn't handle it. He had burner Twitter accounts and all kinds of stuff like that.
now, when you're saying the best in the world, you're obviously alluding to his high school years or college. There's no.
I'm talking about Golden State. I said he's on the best team in the world and arguably the best player. Arguably.
It was an argument, but even with that, Kevin Durant couldn't handle it. We know Kyrie Irving, as much as I love me some Kyrie Irving, he'll say, I'm calling out sick. Like I'm taking personal. Steph Curry is too likable, too lovable. James Harden has a tendency to be snippy. Russell Westbrook. So LeBron James has this saying which is not his saying, but he uses it. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, because of the king moniker. He received that at an early age, but it's the truth. LeBron James' shoulders are broad for a reason. They are equipped to not just carry the league, which he's been doing for the better part of the last decade, but it's also equipped for him to handle the shrapnel of criticism that is constantly hurled at him on a daily basis. And I don't want to sound like a LeBron James apologist, because some of it he does bring on himself.
Absolutely.
But like
LeBron can be corny. Absolutely. He can be very corny.
Like you said, there's no nuance in either direction. So people who have devoted their life to protecting all things LeBron, like myself, versus the people who devoted their lives to tearing all things LeBron James down, There's no balance. And honestly, it makes for good theater because it's like you have two opposing sides who clash on a daily basis in these Twitter streets, which you can follow me at Real Marcus Lamar if you feel so inclined to do so.
Absolutely, absolutely. Once again, we're talking to Marcus Lamar. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell. And put your comments over in the chat. We'll get to some of them if we have time. So, Marcus, besides, Paul Pierce and LeBron, beefing or whatever, keeping this going for about a decade or so, it's always interesting to see two guys go at it for about a decade. We also have one of the most polarizing athletes outside of LeBron James, and her name is Carri Richardson. Marcus, we've seen a lot and heard a lot about Carri Richardson over the last, I guess it would be a month, 2 months, right? From her suspension up until now. What are your thoughts? I haven't got to talk to you about Carri Richardson. What are your thoughts about the whole Carri Richardson ordeal? What she said, what's being said about her? Give it to me, Marcus.
You're right. We haven't had a chance to speak to it about it, and I'm glad that you're giving me this opportunity. So let me slay this extremely slowly because I want you.
I feel like something big coming. Let's do it.
The audience to know where I stand. For all the advocates, or the social justice warriors, or the virtue signalers for Carri Richardson, I want you to not just have a seat. I want you to have several seats.
Ooh.
Here is the issue with Carri Richardson. And mind you, I don't even have an issue with what she did. If you tell me, hey, I'm going through some stuff in my life and I like getting high, then that's on you. I pray that you find the help that you need, that you can overcome. If you feel like you're battling some type of substance addiction or substance abuse, I pray that you can overcome that. The issue I have with Carri Richardson supporters is that they want to discredit the fact that she actually broke a rule. Whether the rule is mundane, whether it's stupid, whether it's outdated, whether it's antiquated, is irrelevant. The rule exists. The problem is not that she smoked marijuana. The problem is that she smoked marijuana and still had an expectation of competing in the Olympics, which is against their rules and policies. We all have worked for places or work currently for places where there are rules and policies and procedures that are in place. If you do not like them, what do? You either advocate for change or you simply leave. So Carri Richardson smoking the marijuana was an issue to me. But on the flip side, because people have now taken that incident and tried to use it to character assassinate her, we're not going to pretend like she's not fast. We're not going to pretend like she didn't have, or up to this point, a great career. Like,
I was going to say she's fast. She's just not as fast as them. But keep going.
Right. And again, when she said, "Hey, I'm the sixth fastest person in this sport or in this industry in the world," I want people to reflect on that. Like, just because there are 5 other people better than you, like being the 6th best basketball player in the NBA is not a slight on you if the 5 people ahead of you are LeBron, KD, Giannis, James Harden, Steph Curry. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there are levels to this. She's at a certain level. She's worked to get to that level, but let's not act like she's some scrub. Now, what I will say is this. I was disappointed after her month layoff with how she came back and ran the Prefontaine Classic, in which she finished 9th. She got off to a bad start out the gates. If you watch the race, she didn't look engaged, and you can tell mentally as the race progressed towards the last 30 meters, she mentally checked out. She just ran recently in the Brussels Olympic race where she came in 4th. So she's showing some signs of progression. She's only 20.
Is it though? Is it though? Well, remember you just told me she was the 6th fastest woman in the world though. Like in the history of the sport.
Right.
Like,
after a month layoff, she went from 9th to 4th. After a month layoff. So you take a month off from anything. I haven't spoke on camera in a month and some change. And right now I can tell you I feel rusty. So you take a month off from anything. I don't care how much of a professional you are. I don't know what she was doing in that month. That's the thing. I don't know what she was doing.
Well, we know when training. We know when training. Look at this.
Right. But that's the thing. I'm not ready to give up on her because she's young. She's still figuring it out. You were once 21. I was once 21. No one expects anyone at that age to have all the answers because, hell, there are people who are older than us that still don't have all the answers and don't know what the hell's going on a daily basis. I just think the biggest reason people have an issue with Carri is because of her brazen attitude, which at times can come off arrogant or cocky, and they feel like the product is not matching the confidence or the cockiness that she exudes.
She's becoming Adrian Broner, bro. Like, I mean, let's just be honest. Like, I love, yeah, she's becoming Adrian Broner because when you talk like that, when you talk, like, if you see behind me, I don't know if you can see, I got Ali behind me. I got a couple posters of Ali. When you talk like Ali, or when you talk like Floyd, or when you talk like, you know, some of these people who have accomplished at the very highest of their sport, of, you know, whether it's an individual sport, Serena Williams or whoever, a team sport, then you gotta perform. Like, you can't finish ninth. If you telling me you're the sixth fastest woman ever, and she is technically the sixth fastest woman, but her time isn't the sixth fastest time. So what I mean by that, I want to make sure I'm clear on everything, whether it's to you or to the audience. Her time at 10.72 is good. It's really good. Like, it's faster than most men, right? She's the sixth fastest woman. But for example, Shelly Ann and the other ladies from Jamaica, I can't think of their names off the top of my head. They've all had multiple times that was faster than 10.72. I mean, the most recent one, she ran a 10.54, which is like the second fastest time ever. And then the other lady came and ran a 10.60 to beat Shelly Ann. So like they're blazing. Like they're on a like you said, it's levels to this. Yeah. Sha'Carri is really good. Like, she might still be the fastest American, even though she was beat by an American when she finished last, and she was beat by another American when she came and finished fourth her most recent race. So she still might be the fastest American. But when you talk like that, bro, like there's a difference. If Sha'Carri just goes, loses, bows down with grace and is like, hey, you know, I had a bad day at the office, but I'm coming back better than ever. Not, I'm the sixth fastest woman and I'm better than everybody and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. It's like, no, you got to humble yourself in that moment. In that moment, you have to humble yourself. If you finish dead last, you got to humble yourself to a little bit. And I think being humble at times can be overrated. But in this case, when you have that bad of a performance, because I don't remember, people keep saying, well, Usain Bolt talked trash and did all this. I don't remember Usain Bolt coming in last. Like, we just being honest. I don't remember him coming in second too many times, let alone dead last. To that, you say what?
But Jeff, in fairness, and I'm not saying that I agree with her rhetoric after the race, but when you finish competing, you played sports before, correct?
Yes, sir.
When you finish competing, when's the time that you're going to get the most authentic soundbite from an athlete? It's right after the game is over.
Absolutely.
I'll take you back to Richard Sherman being interviewed by Aaron Andrews. Don't you ever try me with a sorry ASS receiver like Michael Crabtree, right? That's how he felt in that moment.
Absolutely.
Right.
But what did he do though? Why was he able to feel that way? Because he won. Because he won and he made the play to win the game.
His team won. But that's the thing, to take you into the psychology of people, when people have or feel attacked, which Carri Richardson has been feeling attacked since her blunder, even though, to her credit, she came out and had an interview on Good Morning NBC or Good Morning America.
Yeah.
I apologize to my fans and my sponsors. So she owned up to it. A lot of people felt like she had an excuse because she's like, oh, I've been coping with the death of my mom. So people thought she was trying to play the mental health card. But the point is, she went on national television and said, hey, this is how I feel. But when people feel attacked, they have two responses, Jeff. It's either fight or flight. So she feels like she's been backed into a corner. Like someone said, Michael Williams, give her a break. She's young. She's 21 years old. She feels the weight of the world on her shoulders because people are attacking her. Not only are people attacking her, but now it's like they want to see her fail. People don't want, some people don't want Carri Richardson to come out on top because it's like now they don't like her character or they don't like what she's exuding. But it's like, yo, if that's what you need to tell yourself to make sure that your mental stays intact so that you don't break down on national TV in front of all those cameras, then go for it, sis. But at the same token, like you said, when the rubber meets the road, she's going to have to back up with her performance. I agree with you there.
Okay, what about this though, Marcus? What about this? So, okay, you can have your slander towards the Jamaicans or whoever because, you know what I'm saying, you feel how you feel about them because they're beating you, they whooping your tail on the track. But what about when Allison Felix, who is class and grace personified, goes on Jimmy Kimmel with Stephen A., by the way, and said, and they ask her about Sha'Carri, and he goes, what are your thoughts on Carri Richardson? And she says, hey, we got to give our love and support to Sha'Carri. We got to do, do what's best for her, make sure she's good, bigging her up, all of this good stuff. And then Sha'Carri gets on Instagram Live and was like, giving words of encouragement on TV is like not giving words of encouragement at all. Right? Takes a shot at Allison Felix. Come on, Marcus. Come on, man. Come on. It's one thing to say comments after losing a race. It's another to get on Instagram Live and take a shot at your American teammate who is actually trying to big up you and help you out. Like, what's going on?
So what you're detailing or highlighting for your audience is basically she needs help. Whoever's in her corner currently, or whoever's advising her or not advising her, is not doing a good job of it. I'm not here to pretend Carri Richardson is a saint. In fact, I hate the fact that some people in our community have deified her and made her some type of martyr, or made her out to be some type of charitable case where she's somehow a representation of flagrant injustice that have been done against Black and brown people in this country. She broke the rules. She was penalized for it. Whether you think the rules are stupid or not is irrelevant. However, I'm not going to sit there and character assassinate the young lady because of something that she said, because I was once 21. I'm 28 years old, and I still say stuff that I shouldn't say or that I regret. And I at times can have some type of defiance when people are trying to reach out and help me. She needs help. And I also think that she needs to get a new trainer, because clearly, like you said, we're seeing some level of regression. For her to go from 6th in the world to 9th to 4th, she's not steadily progressing. And I understand she took a month off, but this can be corrected, because everybody loves a winner and everybody loves a good comeback story. So Carri needs to put in the work on the track so that she can get back to those heights, and then people will love her again.
Once again, I'm talking to Marcus Lamar from the Mark My Words show. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and let people know that we're having this conversation. We're talking about Carri Richardson and what's taking place with her. Now, Marcus, on the title of this, actual broadcast that I have right now, I labeled it has Carri finally learned her lesson? Because after all of these things that we're talking about, the shots at Allison Felix, the shots at the Jamaicans, the suspension from the Olympics, and all of this stuff, like you said, she's only 21 years old. So I believe, and I've defended Carri at times, and I have been a supporter at times, but I've also been a critic. I am not gonna let certain things slide, because at the same time, I believe she is a greatly talented athlete. I am someone who believes that she can reach those heights that the Jamaicans are currently at. I believe she can hit in that, that 10-6 range, maybe even the high 10-9 range, or 10-5 range, something like that. Like, I believe she is that fast. I believe she can grow to be that fast anyway. And so now it looks like Carri is starting to do some reflecting, right? So I'm reading you this article from People Magazine. It says the 21-year-old track star did some reflecting on social media, letting her followers know of how proud she's come. Carri began her sentiments with a lengthy Instagram story post by sharing a quote, "There is a past version of you that is proud of how far you've come." She then shared a photo of herself and said, quote, "Learned so much from this year, lose so much this year, but not one time did I break. 21 and coming, hard till I'm done." So she's saying that she didn't break. She's saying that she's learned a lot from this year. What do you think is next? Or what are you taking from some of these quotes from Carri? And what do you think's next for her during her athletic journey? Because she's someone we're going to keep tabs on for the rest of her career.
And you see how that works. So the way this country is we, even though we love a good success story, we love to see people be tore down. Like, and I'm not saying you and I, like we do, but as a culture, the reason we love a success story is because someone has to come from something or has to rise from some type of controversy. We love to see people that are on a pedestal, which Carri Richardson wasn't on a pedestal. I'll be openly honest to you and your audience. I never knew who Carri Richardson was prior to her marijuana Olympic scandal incident.
and most didn't. Most didn't. Yeah, most didn't.
But now she's made herself a household name, right or wrong, right? She's made herself a household name. But again, all she has to do now is continue to put in the work. See, it's one thing. Someone asked me this. They were like, "Do you want to be significant or do you want to be famous?" And that's a question that would stump a lot of people, because a lot of people think, oh, being famous means you're important or that people know who you are. And that might be the truth, but being famous sometimes lasts all but for so long. Like the 15 minutes of fame line is a thing for a reason. Being significant means that your influence over the course of a lifetime or over the course of time will still stand tall. So I think Sha'Carri Richardson right now is famous, but she's famous for all the wrong reasons.
The wrong reasons, yeah.
Significant, and the reason she needs to aim to be significant, or the vehicle for doing that, is by going out there and dominating on the track. Those three Jamaican women, Elaine Edwards-Hurrah, I think that's her name.
Yeah, Elaine, yes.
And Marianne Jackson are phenomenal. So even though Sha'Carri is a competitor, there's no shame in losing to those three, even though you shouldn't be content with losing. It's not like she's losing to scrubs, even though she came in ninth. She lost, I think, to some person from China. That was embarrassing, right? You can tell.
Yeah, she lost to everybody. she lost to everybody when she came in ninth.
But again, she's so young. I'm not ready to give up on her. I'm rooting for her. I understand she's not on everyone's Christmas list, but the same way people love you is the same way they can hate you, and vice versa. The same way people hate her, they can switch and love her just like that.
Yeah, once again, I'm talking to Marcus Lamar from the Mark My Word Show. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Now, Marcus, I want to get to this comment because this comment is interesting to me. It says, Allen Iverson lost and talked. Ali talked. Every football player ever lost, and they all talked. Come on, man. So, like, it's almost like we're beating up, or I guess they're referring to me, beating up on Sha'Carri because she lost and she talked. See, this is different, though. Allen Iverson honestly never talked trash. Allen Iverson was just different when it came to the culture, right? He was just different than what the NBA was seeing. Yeah. He didn't really talk trash. Like, just be honest. He didn't talk trash to his opponents. Even now, when he sees the young Bucks, he bigs up all his opponents when he plays back. I mean, when they play, whether it's James Harden, whoever, he always showing love. Like, Allen Iverson is the person who shows the most love. Ali talked, but Ali was a 3-time world heavyweight champion, right? So Sha'Carri isn't a champion. Like, the only championship Sha'Carri has won, let's be honest, let's just put it all out there. She hasn't won anything as a professional. As a professional, the reason why you didn't know her, because she was a champion at the NCAA level. Now, last I checked, don't many people know about what's happening at the NCAA level. Like, not on the track and field, if we're just being honest. I kind of know because of some of my connections, but most people don't know what's going on at the NCAA level on the track and field. Sha'Carri made all the noise at the NCAA level because she was setting records, and she was a freshman. She was a freshman out there doing it with blonde hair and long nails, and she was breaking records. And it was like, whoa, who is that? She ran that 10.72, that sixth fastest time that we're talking about. Not as a professional, when she was at LSU in college. Since she's become a professional, she hasn't won anything. The only thing that she won that was of significance is the U.S. Olympic trials this year. She did win that. She did. But then after that, what came? It was the weed suspension, everything she missed out on the Olympics. And since then, she's only come in last and in fourth and in, so she hasn't won anything. So you can't compare Carri Richardson, who hasn't won anything as a professional. I'm not going to take away her collegiate accolades, but as a professional, she hasn't won anything. So I just wanted to, clear that up because that is totally different. Winning at the collegiate level is totally different than winning at the professional level, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I don't think Stunned to See, appreciate the comment, brother. I don't think he was attacking you. I think some people have been attacking Sha'Carri, and I know I've spoken to personally some people who want to see her lose. Like when they're tuning into her race to want to see her lose, which again, if you can get anybody to move the needle like that, you're in a really great space. When people tune in to see you lose, like Floyd Mayweather, there are people that will watch Floyd Mayweather fights just to see him lose because he talks so much. They want to see him fail. But if you can move people emotionally like that, where they either want to see you succeed, which that's the boat I'm in, or they want to see you fail, Sha'Carri is off to a great start. Again, she just has to match, her production has to match her status right now.
Now, Marcus, I want to ask you about this. This comment is really interesting to me. It says, Sha'Carri and Naomi Osaka on opposite ends of the humble spectrum. Okay. Both need to work towards a middle ground. Now, you're someone, as we see on your shirt, says is an advocate in therapy and an advocate in mental health and things like that. We see what's going on with Naomi Osaka. What would you say to a comment like this? And if you could give her some advice, or even Sha'Carri, we've been talking about Sha'Carri, but now let's bring Naomi into this. What's something you would say to them? Because we see right now she's going to take a break from tennis because she is struggling with anxiety and maybe a minor form of depression and things like that. But to this comment, what do you say?
I think it's a good comment. I think George raises an interesting point. Even if you look at Simone Biles, when it first came out that she had something called the twisties, which is an actual physical like deficiency or disorder, right? People were like, well, is she taking a break because she is suffering from mental health or she's depressed? If this was LeBron and LeBron took off time during the NBA Finals, people would be crucifying him. I think people need to understand two things can be true. So you can make a point and it can have relevance, but you can also make another point and it can have relevance as well. Like it's not a one or the other or either or type of situation. As it pertains to Naomi Osaka, I'm never in the business of telling people, hey, you shouldn't do this because if you do, this is how it's going to be perceived. If people don't believe that she's suffering from an actual mental health crisis, then that's on them. But at the end of the day, if someone expresses to you that they don't feel 100%, which as humans, we inevitably have days or weeks or sometimes even years where you don't feel your optimal self, meaning you're not operating at or close to 100%, you need to do something about it. Whether that something is changing up your routine, whether it's incorporating more exercise, changes in your diet, or talking to someone, as my sweatshirt advocates, like a therapist. You need someone that you can vent to who's a nonpartisan party, meaning they're not your friend, they're not your significant other, they're not your family member, they're not going to tell you what you need to hear. You don't need to get confirmation from a yes man. You need someone who's going to be able to give you sound advice on what you're going through. I think Naomi Osaka is a wonderful player. Mm-hmm. I think it's evident that whatever she was battling or going through did affect her performance. And whether people want to say, oh, she's just using that as a crutch or as an excuse, the reality is when your mind is preoccupied, whether it's with a breakup or divorce or your kids or financial struggles, it is increasingly difficult to do any job. I don't care if it's separating hair, separating bags, or if it's throwing a football. It is increasingly difficult to perform at a high level if you are not singularly focused on the task at hand, which Kobe Bryant used to speak about all the time. When he was on the court, he was laser locked in on the task at hand, which was ripping out his opponent's heart and dropping 60.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Once again, I'm talking to Marcus Lamar from the Mark My Word Show. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Now, I like this comment by Woodism. It says, y'all need to stop coddling and enabling her bizarre behavior.
Who's he talking about? He's talking about Sha'Carri?
I think he's talking about Sha'Carri. And now that is interesting to me because this is not the only comment like this. I've gotten tons of comments that feel like, whether it's, I've been attacked, people in the media, whoever, saying that we are coddling her behavior. And another thing is, I saw this comment as well, is like the real question is, since remember we talked about it, she hasn't won anything since, or really even come remotely close to winning anything since her weed suspension, right? It says the real question is she losing because she had to abstain from weed? Is weed a performance enhancing drug? Now, I've never heard of weed being a performance-enhancing drug, but it is interesting that since her weed suspension, she hasn't even come close, Marcus. She hasn't even come close, not just to winning, because winning, I mean, even at her best time, it's a far cry from Elaine and Shelly-Ann. Elaine running a 10.54, Shelly-Ann running a 10.60, but she's not even coming close to her own times. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. One, I appreciate the question, but unless we can provide some type of actual data that supports that weed can contribute to someone running faster, I'm not going down that rabbit hole because that's how you get into, being sued for libel. I don't know what Sha'Carri's problem is. I just think when you have a month off from doing any type of profession or work, it is easy to lose desire. It's easy to lose focus. And you're going to have to inevitably shake the rust off of yourself. Again, if you don't, even when I write, I'm a journalist, for those of you who don't know, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I cover the Lakers for a website called lakeshowlife.com. When I don't write for a while or for a few weeks, that initial article, my first article back, is always a struggle because I'm trying to shake off my writer's block. So Sha'Carri has runner's block. I don't know if that's an actual thing.
Made it a thing today.
Right? And again, I don't know what she was doing in the month off that she had. But what we can deduce from what we've seen is that it wasn't running, or she wasn't training at the requisite level that she needed to be at in order to seriously compete in those races.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Once again, we're talking to Marcus Lamar from the Mark My Word Show. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, a like, share, subscribe. I really like this comment right here. It talks about FloJo, Marion Jones, Allison Felix. Never heard them talk about the other people, act unprofessionally, and they won. I mean, I'm not one to say that you can't do what Sha'Carri's doing. You just gotta win, man. Like I'm not one person to say like you gotta act like Russell Wilson or you gotta act like Allison Felix or because I'm gonna just be honest. It's kind of boring. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of boring. Like if we just being honest, if every sprinter or every athlete acted like Russell Wilson or acted like, you know what I mean, just was super humble all the time, every day of the week, it'd be nothing to talk about. And so the fact that Sha'Carri acts the way she acts is dope. To me, it's super dope. You just got to perform. Now, you can't act like that after you lose and come in ninth place, but I do... Well, you got to take a back seat a little bit because you just came in ninth place. You just came in dead last. That's why.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Jeff, what does KTSE stand for? Keep that same energy, right?
Yeah.
So people religiously say that. Keep that same energy doesn't mean in times of prosperity. It means I want you to be yourself unapologetically, authentically, no matter what the circumstances are.
I get that. And that's true. But at the same time, you don't gotta go crazy and act like you the biggest, baddest thing in the world when you come in ninth place. Yeah, keep that same energy if you come in second, if you come in third, hell, if you even come in fourth against the top three runners. But if you come in ninth and you quit, because let's be honest, Sha'Carri quit in the race. Sha'Carri quit during the race. Sha'Carri quit. Did she not?
No. I don't like accusing athletes of quitting. Now, if you say she mentally checked out, that's a different thing.
It's the same thing. It's all the same in a race.
No, it's not the same thing. It's not. If you telling, first of all, if you watch the race, she got up to a bad start.
Okay? Well, her starts are always bad though. If you watch her traditionally, I've watched Sha'Carri even when she was setting the time that she ran at 10.72. Her starts have always been trash, like out of the blocks. It's a weird track thing, but yeah, I've watched her for a long time. Right. Out of the blocks, she's been bad for a long time, so that's nothing new.
And part of track is they tell you to finish strong. Now, I'll admit, Carri in the Prefontaine Classic, if you watch the race, she got off to a bad start and did not finish strong, meaning she went hard through the line.
Once she saw she wasn't going to win, she was like, all right. She mentally checked out. She definitely mentally checked out.
Because I think if you look at anybody's career, regardless of their sport, you can always point to a time where someone, quote unquote, quit. The only person I've ever seen in any sport give full throttle, 100% max effort every single game on virtually every play is Russell Westbrook. The great Michael Jordan hasn't always done that. Tom Brady hasn't always done that. LeBron James hasn't always done that. And neither has Kobe Bryant. So that's why I try to be, I'm reticent to say, oh, an athlete quit, because that is a trigger word. If you tell any man, but specifically an athlete, hey, you quit, it's like, first of all, you don't even know what my mindset was in that moment. Okay. Now, I think your analogy or comparison with the Adrian Broner was spot on, but who's her Floyd Mayweather? And don't tell me it's Allison Felix. She might have offered on national TV, which I don't think is the forum. If you really want to get in contact with that girl, say it on TV and say, after the show, I'll give her a call. Or I'll have my people contact her people.
Yeah, no, I can see that. But the thing with Sha'Carri or even Allison Felix, Allison, it's not to say that Allison hasn't tried, but the thing is they asked her a question. It's not. So what did you want Allison to say in that response? I get it. If Allison hasn't reached out, cool. Like that, you don't want that, fake love is no love or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But Stephen A. asked her about Sha'Carri specifically. What's she supposed to say? Shit, I don't want nothing to do with Sha'Carri. She good riddance. All she said was, we got to give her our support. You know what I mean? She could have went up there and said, I'm good on Sha'Carri. Like, she did what she did and it is what it is. All she said was, we're going to give her support. Now, to take a shot at Allison, I get it. You feel like if Allison really meant to support you, she'd do it in person. I get that. And that has some truth to it. But at the same time, you don't want Allison on national TV bashing you. So what else is she supposed to say? What else? That's all I'm saying. What else is she supposed to say?
Allison Felix's response was fine because it was what she felt in that moment. I have no problem with it. But Sha'Carri's response is a further indicator that she's not only in need of help, but she's crying out for it. Like,
absolutely.
If you listen to her tone, she needs someone desperately to get to her. And I don't know if she feels like Allison Felix isn't that person. But everybody in life has one person they'll listen to. It might not be your brother or your father. It might be one of your frat brothers, one of your old heads. It might be a significant other. But there's somebody in this lifetime that can reach everybody. Like, well, you might not listen to anyone else, but there's one person. I don't know who that person is for Sha'Carri, but I know they desperately need to find her, and she desperately needs to find them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Once again, I'm talking to Marcus Lamar from the Mark My Word Show. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload right here on the Black Boss channel every single day. Now, I do want to talk about your man, Mr. Certified Lover Boy,
Yeah,
Drizzy Drake,
yeah,
shifting gears a little bit
yeah,
from Carri Richardson to Drizzy Drake.
yes.
Drake recently dropped an album. And I think it's super funny because Drake is now teaming up with the NFL. He
Hmm.
will curate and try to help revitalize Monday Night Football with an elite playlist. I guess some OVO artists, probably some of his friends. I'm
Yep,
imagining Lil Baby, Travis Scott, guys who were featured on his album more than likely, will be
yep.
on this Monday Night football playlist. Marcus, what were your thoughts when you seen Drake will team up with the NFL and mess around with their Monday Night Football playlist?
So even though I'm a lover of all things Drake, I initially didn't hear the news, like in all honesty, until you mentioned it to me. So I got online this morning, did some research on it, read the article. I think it's great. Drake has what you would call crossover appeal, meaning the NBA is a predominantly African American league. So I see that they use some of his music when they're coming in and out of commercials or debuting or highlighting games. The NFL is a league that's watched predominantly by Caucasian people or European people. But Drake is able to flourish in that lane as well. And we know Monday Night Football hasn't been what it used to be in the past. So I think it's a great deal for Drake. I think it's a great deal for the NFL. I'm not sure if he'll actually be performing. Like, I think it would be dope if the first Monday Night Football game he actually performed in person at a game, or maybe even another game as the season progressed. I think that would be a nice twist or spin on it. But I mean, what do you expect? Drake's the biggest artist in America. It makes sense. He sells the most records. Nobody does numbers like him, and he is the greatest artist of all time.
Oh
So
my God!
I said greatest
Oh
artist.
my
I said
God!
greatest artist, Jeffrey.
Oh my
Clean
God!
out your ears. Pay attention. Greatest
Oh
artist.
my God! Oh,
I got Jeffrey
oh,
Hirsch, y'all. He's
oh
flabbergasted.
my God!
He's vexed.
My head is
Yeah,
about to.
I'll
All
kick.
right,
No, go ahead.
all right. So, damn the NFL.
Uh,
We gotta get to this because I've never.
you never what?
All right. Before I say anything,
Uh-huh.
please explain to me why you believe in
Mm-hmm.
that brain of yours
Mm-hmm.
that Drake is the greatest artist
Of
of
all
all time. Like of all time. When you say artist, you mean in all genres, all people, all time. Correct?
Oh, of course, of course.
Okay, please, please.
First,
The floor is yours, and I'm gonna give you a solo for this because I ain't trying to distract too much. Go for it. Please explain this to
first of
me.
all, let me alienate some of your fans or
Mm,
supporters. Cause I don't like calling people fans. Let me
mm,
alienate some of your fans or
mm.
supporters. The only genres that I really care about are rap / hip hop and R&B. That's number one. I don't care
Absolutely,
about country. I
absolutely,
don't care about rock. Okay, don't really care about
absolutely.
jazz and blues. So that's number one. Point number two. As you all heard me say, Drake is the greatest artist of all time. The reason I use the word artist is because artist is all encompassing. It means when it comes to singing, rapping, producing music, producing hits, versatility, consistency, there's no artist in the history of the music industry that has been all those things and more greater than Drake. That goes for
Cap,
Michael Jackson. That goes for the Notorious
cap.
B.I.G., who I believe is the greatest rapper of all time. That goes for Lil Wayne, who initially gave Drake his start. That goes for Nicki Minaj. That goes for Fabulous. That goes for DMX, Andre 3000. That goes for Nas. Definitely goes for Jay-Z, who I believe is overrated. But like I said, Drake
Ooh, this is a New Yorker. This is a guy from Brooklyn saying Jay-Z's overrated. I just want to throw that out there.
Jay-Z hasn't put out a quality verse in 10 years, but I'll let y'all say
Ooh, oh my God. Keep going, keep
Drake
going.
is the greatest artist of all time. Now, I know what you all are going to say. Well, the numbers are skewed. They're inflated. Everyone can do numbers because there's so many different ways to stream music. Okay, if everyone could do it, how come everyone isn't doing it? That's my answer to everyone who says something like that. Well, anybody can go out and catch 100 passes in the NFL because it's a pass-happy league. So how come everyone isn't doing it? How come Measly Beasley from the Buffalo Bills isn't getting 100 receptions plus a year like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce are? Don't tell me everyone can do it. Show me everyone that's done it. Now, like I said, Drake's the greatest artist of all time. Jeffrey, the floor is yours. I'll allow you to retort.
Oh my God, man, it's just so much. There's just so much that goes into that.
That was a lot of information, right?
It was a whole lot of information. Honestly, if I'm doing a Mount Rushmore music, which is just the top four, Drake doesn't even make it. He doesn't make the top four. Drake's a great artist. Drake's one of the best to ever do it. Drake is he's an amazing record maker. He sells a lot of records. He's a beast. He's crazy good or whatever. But Drake doesn't make the top 4 music. Like, he doesn't even make the top, and that's just black people. If I added white folks, he probably wouldn't make the top 10. Like, he better make, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just being totally honest. Like Drake doesn't make my Mount Rushmore music does not have Drake on it. It would have Michael Jackson before Drake. It would have Stevie Wonder before Drake. It would have Jay-Z before Drake. It would have freaking Beyonce before Drake. It would have come on, man. Like, it would have Beyonce. Beyonce. Yes. Yes.
Jeff.
Yes. Beyonce makes better music than Drake. And I love Drake, but Beyonce makes better music than Drake.
No, hold on. I know she just celebrated her birthday, right? Shout out to
I didn't even know that, but yeah.
She just celebrated her birthday. I need you to name the first 3 people you said. You said Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder. I don't know who the hell the third person is you said, but name who was the third
Jay-Z.
person?
I said Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Who was the 4th person you just said?
Beyonce. Well, but I don't know if she makes the Mount Rushmore, but she's before Drake. I'm just naming people before Drake. I'm honest to God, I'm just naming people before Drake. Yes, okay. Beyonce before Drake, absolutely. No doubt in my mind. Like, Drake makes great music, but Stevie Wonder he's probably the greatest musician to ever live. Like, I mean, just like from the way. First of all,
listen to Stevie Wonder. Stop it, man.
A lot. I listen to Stevie Wonder a lot. I listen to Stevie, and you probably listen to Stevie Wonder a lot because he's been sampled over 1,000 times, right? So like some of your favorite songs have Stevie Wonder samples in them. Yeah. Stevie, he's that dope. Ain't nobody sampling Drake. 20 years from now, ain't nobody sampling Drake because Drake's sampling the guys that I just named. The Michaels, the Stevies, the guys from Motown, all of those guys. So let's just throw that out there.
Michael Jackson,
not to mention
entertainer. I will give you that. Not the greatest.
And artistry, absolutely. And artistry as well.
He rap.
No, he's saying though, he was a pop music. He was the biggest you talk about crossover. He's the biggest crossover. His Thriller album sold 30 million records. He went diamond. It's the most sold album of all time. Like, right? So we gotta
iconic. But I'm talking rap and hip hop, sir.
Oh, rap and hip hop. Well, if we're talking rap and hip hop, Drake's not just a rapper, but the hell is 10 rappers better than Drake? Whether it's yes, there's 10 rappers better than Drake. Absolutely. Yes, there's 10 rappers better than Drake. And then if you talk about guys who don't all write their own lyrics, Kanye's over Drake. If we did a verses, I'd take Kanye over Drake. Yes. Yes. Kanye, yes, if we Kanye West. Yes, Mr. West.
Kanye does not have 20 songs better than Drake's 20. Take Kanye West's 20 best song and take Drake's 20 best song, and I guarantee you Kanye is not winning. And I love Kanye. Kanye's in my top 5. He's behind Drake. Okay, I've got Lil Wayne in my top 5. I've got B.I.G. First of all, Biggie is the greatest rapper ever. That's number 1. Okay, but when it comes to
there's a man from Marcy Projects that might have something to say about that. No, keep going.
Biggie raps better than Jay-Z. His flow is better. Like, he's a better rapper, and it's okay. He just doesn't have.
There's also a guy, Tupac. You ever heard of him?
Yes, Tupac's not better than Biggie, and I like Tupac. He's not better than Biggie. But you're getting me off subject.
Okay, okay.
I'm happy that he's working with the NFL. It seems like you're not.
Huh? No. Drake's dope. You just we had to throw that out because you said Drake is the greatest artist of all time, and it just simply ain't true. Like, Quentin Miller might be the greatest artist of all time if Drake's the greatest artist of all time. Like, we're just being real. Like,
you're being disrespectful.
I mean, I'm just saying.
There's plenty of people in the industry that help people write. I know what you're doing. You think?
No, absolutely. Kanye has a team full of writers every album he puts out.
People write for Beyonce and she writes for them. Neo used to write for Beyonce.
Yeah, no, and I never said Beyonce's the greatest songwriter. I mean, once you added Drake, hell, that opened the floodgates to anybody. We just, because especially in the R&B lane, most R&B singers, pop singers, or whatever, they don't write their own stuff, right? So I guess if Drake falls into that category, then he don't write his own stuff. But most rappers, well, I'm not gonna say most, a lot of the top dogs, the Biggies, the Pacs, the Jay-Z's, the Andre 3000s, the Big Boys, the Jada Kisses, they write their stuff and then they write stuff for other folks. Like, it was just, I mean, if we just keep it
writes his own raps, and he's a great rapper. Drake writes his own raps and he's a great rapper. See, all you did this morning.
Are you serious? Quentin Miller. So Quentin Miller didn't write anything. We haven't heard what we call reference tracks for Drake. Have we not?
We're going back to 2016.
No, I mean, it's the truth. It's part of his catalog. If you're reading This Is Too Late, one of the greatest pieces of work he's put out in the last ever in his career, right? Is it not?
Nothing Was the Same was better, but it was
Nothing Was the Same was dope, but we don't know if there was reference tracks for Nothing Was the Same. It's definitely better than these last two albums, Certified Lover Boy and Scorpion and stuff like that, right?
Certified Lover Boy did what it had to do.
Certified Lover Boy is mid. Let's call it what it is. It's mid. Like, it is definitely mid.
His best song on the album was 7 a.m. on Brittle Path when he was basically going at Kanye the entire song.
He said a lot of bad things to Kanye. Like, he went out my man's Ye. And then he leaked the best song on both albums. Checkmate. with Ye in Andre 3000. That's the best song on either person's album. Drake leaked it.
I agree. The song is tough.
Yeah, but man, I can't believe this man Marcus Lamar believes Drake is the greatest artist of all time. I do believe that. That is mind blowing to me. This is what we call millennials, guys. For those in the comments, Mr. Marcus Lamar is what we consider a millennial, and he gave definitely a millennial answer when he said Drake is better than the people that I named, including Queen Bee herself.
You see how this is shoddy journalism that you're doing, because I never said that. What I said was, I was specific with my words. I said Drake is the greatest artist of all time. I never said he's the greatest rapper alive. I never said he's the greatest rapper.
I didn't say you did.
Artist is all encompassing.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you factor in his consistency, his longevity, the numbers, the fact that Drake's your favorite artist's favorite artist. Like, there are a lot of rappers.
It's not, but okay.
There are a lot of rappers and artists who have time periods where they just don't put out music for whatever reason. J. Cole hadn't put out an album in years. You talking
about Kendrick? Just say his name. Just say his name.
J. Cole, right?
Well, J. Cole's put out a couple albums in the last couple of years, but Kendrick ain't put out nothing in 3-4 years.
Right. So my thing is this, and that's the thing. Outside of Chris Brown, there's no other artist in the music industry who consistently puts out music every single year. Like, I'm talking about every single year, whether you like, love, or hate it. You can count on Drake like State Farm, like a good neighbor. Drake is there. You can count on him to deliver hits. Whether you need hits for emotional stuff, hits for in your car, hits for in the club.
He got hits for TikTok, bro. Those songs, a lot of that stuff Drake, especially recently, is putting out, has no longevity. Like, it's not something we're gonna be playing 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It's not something that, like, you can go back to. Like, if I cut on a Michael Jackson station on my Pandora or whatever right now, you're going to be like, dang, that is some nostalgia. Dang, that hits. Whether it's me, whether it's my mama, whether it's my grandmama and them, it don't matter. Like, that has some kind of nostalgia to them. Now, there are some Drake songs like that, but there aren't as many as these other people that I'm talking about. There aren't as many as they're like for a Jay-Z or for a Nas or for a Tupac or for a Beyonce or for a, you know what I mean? Like, or somebody in the comments said Prince or Kanye. Like, it's not the same.
Does J. Cole and Kendrick have songs like that will stand the test of time?
Absolutely.
Right, and Drake does too, but do they have a lot more than the people you name? No, they don't.
I didn't say them though. When I said the greatest artists, I didn't mention any of their names. The people that I mentioned, and that's not to say Drake can't continue to build his catalog and continue to be there.
He's not.
But he's just not there yet. Like, he's just not there yet.
The reality is, he makes music for the times because we are an instant generation. So he's not making music to stand the test of times. But
absolutely, he clearly ain't.
50 Cent song, Go Shorty, It's Your Birthday. You gonna party like it's your birthday. That song is going to be played for the entirety of civilization.
Forever. 50
Cent is one of my top favorite rappers. He's in my top 5 as well, with Wayne, Biggie, Kanye, and Drake. He's not better than Drake. And anyone who says he is, that's just asinine. I just end the conversation. But I love 50 Cent.
Did somebody say 50 Cent was better than Drake, though? Like, I don't know if anybody...
As a rapper or as an artist, because there's a difference.
Man, it's just...
And I know I'm playing semantics, but I'm being serious.
Definitely playing semantics, but man, I've held you for a long time. Once again, we started out talking about, Paul Pierce's beef with LeBron and all that stuff. Then we jumped over to Carri Richardson, and now we're having this conversation about Drake, which I'm sure will get brought up again because I'd had no idea you felt that way.
We were supposed to talk Lakers Nets, and we didn't even get a chance to.
Yeah,
on Drake.
We'll come back to Lakers Nets because this Drake comment just really threw me off. It threw me for a loop. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Once again, this is Marcus Lamar from the Mark My Word Show. You can follow Marcus Lamar at Mark My Word Show on Instagram. Follow Mark My Word Show on Instagram. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you, Marcus, for coming through, and
Thanks for
we will
having me,
see
man.
you guys next time.